Yeah, I think it's good.
Our speaker this evening is Rochelle Weithorn. Rochelle came to the study of Tibetan Buddhism and meditation after meeting her teacher, the profound meditation master, Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche. She subsequently studied Dharma art at Naropa University, laying the foundation for her work as a visual artist and writer. In 2001, Rochelle founded what was to become the Milarepa Children's Theater and Chorus, a not-for-profit company under the auspices of the great yogi and meditation master Khenpo Tsultrim Gyatso Rinpoche. She has written 3 plays about the life of the Buddha, which were performed by children, teens, and young adults of the Buddhist Council of New York and Diki Tibetan Sunday School in Astoria, New York. Currently, Rochelle is working on a production of the 21 Taras. Thank you, Rochelle.
The life and example of Buddha. It is a clear, hot summer's day, and the thick branches of the sal trees are brilliant with flowers and heavy with their load of fruit. The landscape is wild and rocky with many caves, and the nearest town is more than 100 miles away. In some of the caves are yogis with long matted hair, dressed only in a thin white cotton cloth. Some are sitting on deer skins and meditating. Others are performing various yogic practices, such as meditating while seated in the middle of a campfire, which is a well-known ascetic practice. Yet others are reciting mantras or devotional chants. The place has an atmosphere of peace, solitude, and stillness. But it is also rather awesome. It might have remained unchanged since before the creation of the world. It is completely still and silent. There aren't even any birds singing. There is a great river nearby, but no fishermen. The river is so vast, it seems to be at least 7 miles wide. On the bank, ascetics are practicing the sacred ritual of purification. One sees them meditating and bathing in the river. That was the scene 2,500 years ago in a certain place called Naranjana in the province of Bihar, India. A certain prince called Siddhartha arrives. His appearance is aristocratic. He has only recently removed his crown and his earrings and ornaments, so he feels rather naked. He has just sent away his horse and his last attendant, and now he puts on a clean, white cotton cloth. He looks around him and tries to imitate the other ascetics. He wants to follow their example, so he approaches one of them and asks for instruction in the practice of meditation. First he explains that he is a prince and has found life in the palace to be meaningless. He has seen that there is birth, death, sickness, and old age. He has also seen a sage walking along the street, and this has inspired him. This is the example and the way of life he wants to follow. It is all new to him, and at first he cannot accept that is actually happening. He cannot forget the luxuries and sensual enjoyments which he had in the palace, and which are still revolving through his mind. This was Prince Siddhartha, the future Buddha. Buddha was the first social activist, or as my friend Rachel Farrow said, he was the original social activist. He understood Shunyata. The two books that I drew these talks from are Meditation in Action and Old Path, White Cloud, Walking in the Footsteps of the Buddha by Thich Nhat Hanh. It was a beautiful summer's day, and Sujata's mother sent her out into the forest to make an offering to the forest gods. She gave her a beautiful platter of milk, sweetened milk and honey, and food, biscuits, cakes, and she put on her finest sari, and out she went into the forest to make offerings to the forest gods. Suddenly, she sees a man lying on the ground, completely emaciated. She put down her platter and ran to him. He was barely breathing. He looked like a skeleton. She took the sweetened honey milk and poured some on his lips. And then she poured a little bit more and a little bit more. Finally, he started breathing and he opened his eyes. And then she gave him more milk. Finally, he sat up, adjusted his posture, put his robe over his shoulder, and suddenly Sujata thought, well, this must be a forest god. So she starts prostrating to him. But he said, child, please, give me a little bit more milk. And then he drank some more milk, and finally he revived himself. And Sujata asked him, who are you? Where did you come from? Why did you faint on the road? And he said, my name is Sujata. He said, my name is Siddhartha. I am a prince. I used to live in a kingdom called Sakya, and now I have come to the forest, and I've been practicing harsh ascetic practices and meditation. Now, I decided that since I was so weak, I would go into the forest, I would go into the village, and ask for some food. But I got so weak that I just collapsed on the road, and now you have saved my life. Sujata said, well, my parents would be happy to give you food every day. I could bring it to you to enhance your meditation practice. And he said, no, well, I would love that, but I would also like to go into the village to meet the villagers and see what they're like. At that time in India, 2,560 years ago, it was well thought and well known that if you wanted to attain enlightenment, you would go into the forest, become an ascetic, and you would do harsh ascetic practices to purify your body. And once your body was purified, then you could become enlightened. And Trungpa Rinpoche said in Meditation in Action, asceticism, the experience of bodily pain, is not part of Buddhism. Through meditation practice, we can go beyond mental concepts and examine ourselves each time. And he said, without meditation, there is no way in and no way out. Siddhartha realized that when he was studying with the yogis and the rishis at that time, he realized that he wasn't really getting anywhere, and he wasn't having much of a meditation experience, so he decided to leave them and go into the forest and practice by himself. But he still was only eating, at some point, 1 grain of rice a day. And so that's when he realized that, well, maybe I need some nourishment. And many times in our own life, I know I've found when I do things to myself that I'm not really being mindful of my body and I push myself too much, then I can't put the air conditioning on.
No?
No.
Go on.
It drowns out the
Sound
the
drowns out
recording.
the sound.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, with that noise?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
So,
How about the fan?
No. Yeah. Sorry.
Siddhartha realized that this was not working for him. And he also realized that he didn't really understand how precious human birth is. He didn't understand that without his body being healthy and strong, he couldn't really accomplish anything in his meditation practice. It was like, he said, seeing a vast ocean with one life raft floating by, and then a turtle swimming underneath the water pokes his head out and lands. His head goes right up into the life raft. And that's how rare it is to have to get a precious human birth. And it goes even further than that. Precious human birth doesn't just mean a precious human birth, a body. It means being born in a place where there's a teacher, where there's a Buddha, that there are Dharma teachings to study, and a way of practicing and working with ourselves. So he said, do not waste your life. When you meet with the Dharma, immediately start practicing as though your hair is on fire. And that's what Siddhartha realized then, that his life was precious and he couldn't do anything to harm his body. Swasti, the buffalo boy, and the gift of Kushikos. Swasti was a buffalo boy, and all day long he took care of his buffaloes, and he cut kush grass for them to eat. And one day, it was very hot out, he decided to go into the forest after he fed his buffalo and just take a nice relaxing afternoon sitting under a cool tree. And as he was going out into the forest, he comes upon Siddhartha meditating. And by this time, Siddhartha had been nourished, and he was sitting, and he had this wonderful glow to him, relaxed and peaceful. And Swasti was kind of shocked because he had never seen anyone that looked like that before. So he stopped, and Siddhartha didn't see him. He was just meditating. Suddenly he starts rubbing his legs, rubbing his ankles, and he stands up, and then he starts doing walking meditation. He's walking through the path, and then he turns around, and when he turns around, he sees Swasti. And he was so surprised to see a person there, so immediately he extended his hand, and he said hello. Swasti was so excited to meet him, he ran to him and gave him his hand, and then he took his hand away. And he said, when I touch your hand, aren't you being polluted? And Siddhartha, with such gentleness and tolerance, Siddhartha looked at him and he said, you can't pollute me. You're a human being and I'm a human being. Don't listen to what foolish people say. In that time in India, it was a very rigid caste system. Once you were born into a certain caste, that was it for the rest of your life. You never left that caste. Siddhartha was born into the Brahmin family. The Brahmins were the kings, the queens, the priests, the teachers. Swasti was an untouchable. That was the absolutely lowest caste. And it was truly believed that if an untouchable touched you, you would be cursed, you would be doomed, you would get sick. And this was an amazing statement that Siddhartha could make to Swasti, and that Swasti accepted. It was the first time that anyone really spoke to him in such a loving way. Through the discipline of meditation practice, Siddhartha was able to see the link that connects all living beings. The fact that we all possess an enlightened gene, which enables us to release the concepts that separate us. And so what he was doing was, through meditation, he was releasing the mental concepts of everything he learned when he was growing up. And he was able to recognize that basic goodness in Siddhartha as he started to recognize in himself. What Siddhartha did was he became inclusive rather than exclusive. He was not running an exclusive club which only Brahmins could join. He was running an inclusive club where everyone who wanted to study the Dharma, anyone that wanted to work with themselves was completely invited. Like the Vijayara always used to say, "You're welcome, come along." Anyone could come. You just need to have the right aspiration. When Siddhartha realized enlightenment and became the Buddha, he abolished the caste system in his Sangha. He had a Sangha of monks and nuns. He had a Sangha of community of lay people. There was no caste system. When he spoke, anyone could come. They wanted to join the monastic Sangha, anyone could come. This was an amazing thing at that time. No one had ever thought of it, no one ever did it. So in that way, he was a real social activist. When Swasti looked at him and realized the gift that he had given him, he asked Siddhartha, he said, "Oh, I would really like to give you a gift, but I don't have anything to give you." So Siddhartha said, "Yes, you do. You see that nice kusha grass over there? That would be great if you gave me some kusha grass. I could use it as my meditation cushion, and that would be very helpful." So Swasti cut him some kusha grass and gave it to him. And then Siddhartha said, "Come back tomorrow for lunch." And they said goodbye, and Swasti went to take care of his buffalo, and Siddhartha went back to practice. The next day, Siddhartha is sitting, and Swasti comes along, and he sees that next to Siddhartha is this beautiful young girl, Sujata, the one who saved his life. And he was a little intimidated because still he couldn't get used to the fact that he could go near regular people. And Siddhartha saw him and said, "Swasti, come sit down." And Swasti brought an offering of rice, and Sujata brought offerings of food, and they were just having their lunch. And suddenly, Siddhartha starts telling the story of the wounded swan. He said, "One day when I was 9 years old, I was just walking along in the palace garden when suddenly a swan, a white beautiful swan, fell from the sky and fell right on the ground in front of me. I looked down and I saw that the swan had an arrow stuck in its spine. And I was surprised, I was horrified. So Siddhartha picks up the swan and takes out the arrow, cleans out the wound, puts medicinal herbs on it, and then takes a blanket and covers the swan. Then his cousin Devadatta appears, holding a bow and arrow. And he said, "Siddhartha, have you seen a bird fall from the sky?" And then he sees the bird that Siddhartha's holding in his arm. And he said, "That bird belongs to me. I shot it out of the sky, and now you have to give it back to me." And Siddhartha said, "No. You tried to harm the bird, and I'm helping the bird, so the bird belongs to me." And he said, "No. Now it belongs to me because I'm the one that shot him." So 9-year-old Siddhartha said, "Those who love one another live together. Those who are enemies live apart. You tried to kill the swan, so you and she are enemies. The bird and I love one another, and we live together. The bird needs me, not you." And Sujata said, "Yes, I see that you are correct today. Yes." And then Siddhartha asked Swasti what he thought. And he said, "Well, I see your reasoning was correct, but most people wouldn't think so." And Siddhartha said, In this world, few people look with the eyes of compassion and mercy towards others. The weak are always oppressed by the strong. I see that my reasoning was correct that day, for it arose from love and understanding, which can ease the suffering of all beings. The truth is the truth, whether or not it is accepted by the majority. Therefore I tell you, children, it takes great courage to stand up for and protect what is right. Siddhartha realized at a very young age that we all connected. He had great compassion for all sentient beings. And so, at a very young age, he saw the necessity to protect beings that were weaker than him, like animals, and insects and bugs, and other people. He said, all sentient beings, those who have been our mothers, since we have lived many, many lives, everyone that we meet, we should recognize that in one life or another, that person may have been our mother. And so we need to respect them and be kind and loving towards them. And like Temple Sultan Gyaltso says, I don't see sentient beings, I see Buddhas. Trungpa Rinpoche said, and born in Tibet, I took pride in the fact that even though we were starving while escaping Tibet, no animal was ever harmed. No animal was ever killed for food. What they did was they burned their saddle leather, they burned their shoe leather, they burned their belt leather to have some nourishment, but they never killed an animal. And in the Buddhist tradition, we do not take a life. Fast forward, this is 7 years later, after the Buddha left the palace, he finally attained enlightenment, and he became surrounded by people who wanted to hear him speak. Some of them became his disciples, some of them were just lay people. He began a monastic sangha, and then he went back to the palace in the Sakya clan, where he was born. Already the people in the palace, his relatives, his father, King Suhodina, his aunt, Mahapajapati, they all heard about the great teachings of the day, and they were really excited to see him. And when he came back to the palace, many of his relatives and people in that country became his students. Some of them became monks, and then some of them just became his followers. They became lay practitioners. But when his aunt, Mahapajapati, the sister of Mahamaya, his mother, asked to be ordained as a nun, she asked him 3 times, and each time he said no. And he said he thought the conditions were not right to accept women into the monastic sangha at that time. When the Buddha left the Sakya clan and he went to Vasali to teach, Mahapajapati said to the other women in the palace that wanted to go and become nuns, let's go to Vasali and ask the Buddha again to become nuns. She said, Lord Buddha has taught that each human being is equal and has the capacity to be enlightened and liberated from suffering. So they walked to Vasali. The Buddha had 3 women in his life that were very important to him. First, his mother, Mahamaya. Even when you speak to any person from India now, a cab driver, I went to a Xerox store, they say, oh, Mahamaya, a woman of great virtue. They all have reverence for her. Once Mahamaya had a dream. In all her lifetimes, and in this lifetime as well, she had made aspiration prayers that she would give birth to a Buddha so that he could help alleviate the suffering of all beings. One night, she had a dream that a white elephant with 6 tusks and holding a pink lotus flower in his trunk came to her. It was beautiful music, and he danced, and he took the lotus flower and he placed it within her. When she woke up, she was still hearing the beautiful music and the marvel of the dream, so she woke her husband up, King Sohodana, and she told him about the dream. So immediately he sends for his spiritual advisors and he asks them the meaning of the dream. And the spiritual advisors said, your son will become a great leader, your son will be a mighty emperor, or your son will be a great teacher. In order for a Buddha to take birth at a certain time in history, there has to be 5 requirements must be met. The first is the right time. The second is the right continent, which at that time was India. Because India, of all the places in the world at that time, India was a hotbed for spiritual practice, art, culture. It was a wonderful place. The right area. He was born into the Sakya kingdom. Because at that time, because of the caste system, you had to be a Brahmin for anyone to really take you seriously as a speaker, as a teacher. And the right caste was a Brahmin caste, and the right mother to help accomplish their goal. So this is why Siddhartha was born into the Sakya clan. Mahapashupati, so Mahamaya was the first woman. Second woman was Mahapashupati, his aunt, the sister of Mahamaya, and also married to the same king. When he was growing up, she realized that this was not your run-of-the-mill child, because he had so many great qualities. He was excellent in school. He was excellent in sports. He had love and compassion for everyone he met, and he was beautiful to look at. What you would expect a Buddha to be. And so when he started growing up and expressing that he wanted to leave the palace and see what was going on outside, because he felt very constrained there, she encouraged him to go. So she was very kind to him, very loving, and very encouraging. And the third woman in his life was his wife, Yasodhara. Yasodhara and Siddhartha got married when he was both 16 years old. She was also a princess, and her ideal in life was to help those who suffered. She came from a family a lineage of women who went into villages and took care of the sick and the hungry and the poor. That was her ideal in life. And then Siddhartha wanted to understand how to alleviate the suffering of all sentient beings. So together, their purpose in their marriage was of a higher realm, where they didn't just think about themselves and their own little life and their own little world. They really thought outside to see what they can do and how they can work with themselves. And she also understood his need to leave the palace, and she encouraged him to leave. So Mahapashupati is now walking to Versailles with her friends, and they had they cut their hair, they took off their beautiful jewelry, their beautiful saris, their shoes, and they put on their saffron robes, and they walk. And when they get there, their feet are all bloody, and they're all sweaty and hot and exhausted. And who do they meet? They go to the Buddhist camp, and they meet Ananda. Ananda was one of the main disciples of the Buddha. And Ananda was horrified when he saw them, because he had never seen royal women look that way. And he said, Lady Mahapashupati, what are you doing here? And she said, we've come to ask the Buddha to accept us as nuns in his to ordain us as nuns. And will you speak to him on our behalf? And so Ananda said yes. So he goes off to the Buddha's hut and he tells the Buddha what he saw. And he said, why won't you ordain them? And he said, Ananda said to the Buddha, Lord, is it possible for women to attain enlightenment? And the Buddha said, beyond a doubt. And he said, why not ordain Mahapajapati, who raised you and supported you? At that time in India, women had very, very little personal freedom. When they were born into their family, when they were married, they went and lived with their husband's family. They were expected to stay at home, take care of the family, have children, and they couldn't travel. They couldn't do anything. They just expected to stay at home. And so, even in a royal family like Mahapajapati, she couldn't move. She couldn't go. And the Buddha decided to call his close disciples to him to talk about the situation. He said, the Buddha explained that it was not discrimination against women which made him hesitate to ordain them. He was just unsure how to open the monastic sangha up to women without creating harmful conflict within and outside the sangha. The Buddha asked his disciples what they thought the best way to resolve the situation was. After a while, the Venerable Shariputra said, it would be wise to create statues which define the roles of nuns within the sangha. Such statues would diminish public opposition, which is certain to erupt since there has been discrimination against women for thousands of years. I suggest 8 extra rules pertaining to the ordination of women. Everyone agreed this would be the best way to handle it, so Ananda goes back to Mahapajapati and gives her the good news. And even though these 8 rules were somewhat harsh, Lady Mahapajapati said, we're happy to accept them. That's great. The other women, when Ananda left, were not that thrilled. And they said, these extra rules seem very unfair. Why are we accepting them? Aren't we as good as men? And then they said, Mahapajapati, what do you think? And she said, that she knew that this was the Buddha's way of working with the society in India at that time, and it seemed a small price to pay for the great freedom that women would now have to fully practice the Dharma, the way of peace. Lady Mahapajapati was the first Buddhist nun to be ordained by the Buddha and the first woman Buddhist teacher. She lived to be 120 years old and dedicated her life to practicing and teaching the Dharma and nurturing the community of nuns. She was among the first women to become enlightened in the Buddhist time. In these 2 poems, Lady Mahapajapati pays tribute to her sister and also proclaims her enlightenment. Mahamaya gave birth to Gautama, the Buddha, for the sake of all. She has driven back the pain of the sick and dying. But I have seen the Blessed One. This is my last body, and I will not go from birth to birth again. When Siddhartha received the kusha grass from Swasti, he sat in meditation. He was eating, he was relaxed, he was comfortable, and eventually, with his mindfulness practice, he did attain enlightenment. And when this happened, there was nobody there. It was just him in the forest. So, to proclaim his enlightenment, he put his right hand on the earth. And he said, the Buddha touched the earth with his right hand and proclaimed, the earth as witness to his enlightenment. so he could claim the earth as witness to his enlightenment. For 40 years, he walked barefoot from village to village throughout India, teaching what he had discovered. He and his monastic community lived simply, using only what it was needed to sustain them. The Buddha revered the sacredness of the land, declaring that the earth belongs to all creatures equally, and taught that it was important to treat our environment with respect. This was a great example at that time of declaring that even our environment is sacred, not just people, not just animals, but the environment is a sacred space. And now we see teachers like the 17th Karmapa really organizing ways to save our planet from the toxins that are harming us now. Okay, now I would like to know if we'd like to have a brief discussion. Does anyone have any questions? It was a skillful way. The society in that time was so against women having any freedom, personal freedom. As a matter of fact, every Tibetan teacher, every Buddhist teacher that I've ever spoken to, when you ask them what's the most important thing in your life, they will say personal freedom. And personal freedom doesn't even mean that just personal freedom to run around the planet and do what you want. Personal freedom means being able to practice the spiritual path that is meaningful to you. Because most people on this planet don't have that luxury. And especially at that time, women absolutely couldn't do that. Not only that, they could have practiced the teachings of the Buddha in their community as lay people, but they wanted to get into the Sangha. They wanted to leave the house. They wanted to do forest retreats, do rainy retreats, be a community of practitioners in a very disciplined way. And that was the only way that he could figure out how to do it without having a just complete mayhem. So, I mean, we don't have to look at those times to see if that is still prevalent in our life too.
Definitely, especially since it's very difficult for women to be fully updated yeshivas now.
Yeah, well, the Karmapa actually did that this year. Was it last year or this year? During the Kagi Mundam, he ordained women. He said that he was going to ordain, not that they can't be nuns, but fully ordained nuns. He said that he would do that. And like Pema Chodron, she had to go to China to become a fully ordained nun. She couldn't do it in the West. But now the 17th Karmapa is doing it. And I was actually in Kathmandu visiting Temple Sultan Gyaltsar a few weeks ago. And he lives in a nunnery with his nuns. And I asked them if they went to India to become fully ordained, and many of them did. Some of them couldn't go because they had to stay and take care of the nunnery and the guest house. But many of them did, and they were just so happy. So, and even, once I had a taxi driver in New York who was from India, and I asked him about the caste system. And I actually was taking notes, and he explained every level of caste system in India. And many of the rules are still prevalent today. And we don't have to go to India. We could just see what's going on in our own country, in our own backyard, with discrimination against people. The bottom line is that the Buddha relieved our suffering by announcing that every person has Buddha nature, and everyone is capable of enlightenment. And if we could, the Temple Sultan Gyaltsar, we said, I love coming to New York City because there's so many people there. It's just full of Buddha nature, and I just love it. It's just like hordes of people full of Buddha nature. It depends on how we want to see things. If we want to see it that way, then that we can see it that way, and then skillfully work with people, whatever the situation is that we're in. Any other questions?
I don't know if this is something you can answer, but I'm impressed, so much that the Buddha had no teacher. Well, he had no teacher to teach him the path to enlightenment. Rather, he found what didn't work, rejected it, and then discovered, it would seem, mindfulness meditation. And I wonder if you have any idea how that happened. I mean, I guess there are a few people in history who were able to become self-enlightened Buddhas, rather than have it passed down through a lineage.
John, that's a very interesting question, because Trungpa Rinpoche actually said, I think he said it in Meditation in Action, but I'm not sure where, he said it would be the biggest insult if we thought the Buddha came here already enlightened. That would be the biggest insult to him, because he actually had the idea to work with himself. He actually had the inspiration to work with himself, and he did it. And because of his hard work and his discipline and diligence, he was able to then work with us. The other thing that the Buddha did was he never allowed anyone to draw or paint an image of him. So all these images of Buddha that we see, like the one on the shrine here, are just images that artisans decided the Buddha would look like. And we don't actually know what he looks like. Once I had a dream when I was in Neidan school, we were studying the life of Buddha. I had a dream that I visited the Buddha and his Sangha, and he was giving a teaching, and I looked at him. I kind of recognized who he was. And actually he was wearing white clothes, but I don't know. Anyway, so Trungpa Rinpoche said that it was very, very important to see him just as a human being, just the way we are human beings, and that we all have the ability to do what he did. There are other stories, like I did some research when I was writing my plays about the life of Buddha. And there's one play that I wrote called Yasodhara, about his relationship with his wife. Mahamaya, and his mom. He was actually a god in Tushita heaven, looking down to see where he could be, the gods in Tushita heaven were asking him to please take rebirth on earth to help sentient beings. And he was looking to see where he could land. And he saw Mahamaya, and she made so many aspiration prayers to give birth to a Buddha that he picked her. So that's one story. But I like to, I don't know, or maybe he came already enlightened, but I think it's important to take Trungurukje's view that he was just an ordinary person, just like we are. It's important not to think of him as a god or someone that's unique. Just an ordinary person who discovered something, and then we can emulate that. When I was working with the Buddhist Council here in New York, there were different centers that I worked with. The Japanese, the Chinese, Taiwanese, the Koreans. We all had different ways of practicing. One Sri Lankan monk said to me, the Buddha never talked about Vajrayana. And I said, and he's like, that was something else, something we made up in Tibet. So I couldn't say anything because I was so shocked. But anyway, one thing we all had in common, and that's what bound us together as a group, is we all had faith in the Buddha. That's the ground, in his teachings. And then when they went to different countries, they just took on the format of that country. So to answer your question, I do not know how he did it, but I'm grateful that he did. Are there any more questions? I just want to, okay.
What you said about Buddha nature reminded me of John's talk a few weeks ago.
Sorry.
And I was thinking that for the first 50 years or so, I saw myself as being separate from everyone else. And I took a few baby steps forward when it became possible to see myself in other people. And I find that I don't have to try to be compassionate, but compassion arises spontaneously when I see someone who's in distress, and I see myself in distress in that person. And so when my idea of myself was more fixed, it wasn't possible for this to happen. So I think it's interesting that the Buddha was very wise and very powerful, but he was also constrained by the circumstances in which he found himself. So I'm sure that he wanted women to be nuns with all of his heart and all of his being, but he also recognized that they would suffer at that time because everyone else couldn't understand things the way that he did.
Yeah, still believes.
Yeah,
That was
sorry.
a big one.
That's not a question.
Yeah,
It's more of a
but it's
comment.
true. It's absolutely true. Skillful needs is so important. Because we can understand, the Buddha understood that everyone has Buddha nature, but to introduce that, everyone accepted that. But when you say women have Buddha nature too, and they can leave their homes, and that would really be disturbing society at that time. And I had an interesting experience with when I was working on a play about the life of Buddha with 60 children in Tibetan Sunday school in Queens. And one of the children said to me, so Rochelle, when we have our play, we're going to wear our chubas, right? And I said, no, this is an Indian play. The Buddha was born in Nepal, but he walked, he taught in India, he lived in India. We're going to wear Indian clothes. I said, what? The Buddha was not Tibetan? Because even though we're all Buddhists, even within Buddhist communities, everyone thinks the Buddha belongs to them. Everyone thinks the Buddha is either Chinese, Korean, Japanese, American, Tibetan, depending on who you are. So it's a cultural bias. And it's the cultural bias of his time that he had to work with, and it was so severe.
But the funny thing is that all of those people are correct. He does belong to all of them, but not in exclusion of everyone else.
That's right. Even in Tibetan Buddhism, depending on who your teacher is. You're either on the right side of the fence or the wrong side of the fence. Wars have been fought depending on who you think is the right teacher. So, any more questions? I just wanted to end with one thing. Going back to the forest, Swasti came to meet, to see the Buddha, to see Siddhartha one day, and Siddhartha looked very different. He was glowing. He had a halo around him. And Swasti said to him, "You look so different today." And Siddhartha said, "Invite all the children. I want to talk to them, tell them this wonderful experience I had." He said, "Today is the happiest day in my life because last night I found the great way. Please enjoy this happiness too. In the near future I will teach this path to others." Siddhartha said, one of the children offered him a tangerine, and he said, so Thich calls this tangerine of mindfulness. When you eat a tangerine, you can eat it with awareness or without awareness. What does it mean to eat a tangerine with awareness? When you are eating the tangerine, you are aware that you are eating the tangerine. You fully experience its lovely fragrance and sweet taste. When you peel the tangerine, you know that you are peeling the tangerine. When you remove a slice and put it in your mouth, you know that you are removing a slice and putting it into your mouth. And you can then experience its sweet fragrance and taste. The tangerine that was offered to me has 9 sections. I ate each morsel with awareness and saw how precious and wonderful it was. Eating a tangerine in mindfulness means that while eating the tangerine, you are truly in touch with it. Your mind is not chasing after thoughts of yesterday or tomorrow, but is dwelling fully in the present moment. The tangerine is truly present. When we live in the present moment, we can understand life. Understanding leads to tolerance, peace, and love. Swasti said, "Respected teacher, can we call this path the path of awareness?" Surely we can. The path of awareness leads to perfect awakening. Sujata joined her palms and asked, "You are the awakened one, the one who shows how to live in awareness. Can we call you the awakened one?" Siddhartha nodded. "That would please me very much." Then she said, "Awakened in Magadhi," which is where she was from, is pronounced good. A person who is awakened would be called Buddha in Magadhi. Can we call you Buddha? And all the children were delighted. By this merit,
May all attain omniscience. May it defeat the enemy wrongdoing. The stormy waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death. From the ocean of samsara, may I free all beings. By the confidence of the golden sun of the great east, may the lotus garden of the Rigdon's wisdom bloom. May the dark ignorance of sentient beings be dispelled. May all beings enjoy profound, brilliant glory.